This sounds hilarious. There's a video called Does OnlyFans Ruin Your Life? I actually haven't checked to see whether this is pro or against OnlyFans. I'm just here to argue and lay out the facts. Trust me, I have seen the damage that OnlyFans does to your mental and your relationships and your life long term. It is a bad decision. Now, short term, it makes a lot of sense. But if you don't make your money and then get out, you're going to constantly be reminded about how ugly you look. You're gonna constantly be pushed to go to the next extreme. And I'll be real, man, like having a kid and then your kid's friends finding out who their mom is and then those kids being able to jerk off to your mom, that just ain't right to do that shit to that kid, bro. That shit is fucked up. OnlyFans and sex work is great short term, but it is like, it's the biggest cheat code for short term success. But long term, it can have some very bad effects of your overall quality of life long term. But you will have money, but you can also get money by, get this, having a real fucking job. Unfortunately, people born in this generation aren't too fond of doing that. Let's get into it. Does OnlyFans ruin your life?
People that have sent me and my husband death. The amount of people who have sent my husband things from my past.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this chick before. This chick looks really familiar.
Consistently, week by week, is like so hard for him to deal with, and then for me to be like ashamed about, because I'm constantly being reminded of the things I've done when I just want to live.
I'm an OnlyFans model and a mom of 4.
Is it really?
Yikes. I really don't know how any man or woman could punish their partner by being a sex worker. I am firmly against that. I'll be real. If you're a sex worker, you should be single, and then once you retire, go ahead. But like, dude, dishonoring your partner by fucking other dudes, selling photos of your clit to other people while you're in a relationship, I feel like that shit is just so fucking fucked up. I really do. Like, you got it, dating an OnlyFans girl or dating a porn star is literally pretty much the same as just saying, yeah, I'm a cuck, so what? Trust me, I've tried it. It is not for me. That shit was terrible. Because I did that for like a year and a half. I was like, oh, who cares? It's probably fine because I'm getting the real thing. And then it's like, wait a minute. Why am I spending like $3,000, $4,000 on this chick every month and everybody else is getting this shit for $5? What am I doing? Like, you just gotta look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm a fucking loser if I ever do this shit. Absolutely not, bro. Doing OnlyFans, just online prostitution? Oh yeah, absolutely. And the worst thing is people will say, how dare you say that? What else do you want me to call it? It's literally ethoning.
That bad if you're an OF creator. I mean, you'll never feel like you want for love because it's like being in a relationship with thousands of people. It's one of those rare cases where you can meet someone in public and they recognize you, but they also know what you look like beneath your clothes.
It's weird as fuck.
That's probably the first thing they think about when they see you. Can you imagine someone walking up to you and they say, hey, I know you. I watch you on OF. You're my...
Yeah, and the other thing is, you got to realize that all your homies are 1,000,000% jacking it to your girl, which is like and nobody will ever say it, but it's like, you know, there's such a high chance that they're doing it. That shit is weird as fuck.
My favorite creator. Or maybe you're out of that industry and you're trying to move on with your life and you keep getting reminded of it, or you try to sign up for a job or something and your employers find out that you used to open your legs for millions of people all over the world.
Yep.
And suddenly they're like, you know what, I don't think you're going to be a right fit for this brand, even though you're no longer doing those things. But you probably feel like you have to go back and do it again because the only jobs that will take you are jobs that you don't necessarily want to do. Like doing a service for people, like picking up trash or giving people a Happy Meal. Maybe you end up in a happy
Hey, better give someone a happy meal than a happy ending. You know what I'm saying?
relationship until your boyfriend's friends recognize you or his parents. No more happy relationship. And there's a lot of discussion about this and people wondering, oh, is it really that bad if you are that kind of content creator? Because in your mind, you're probably giving people a service that is required, and it's no different than somebody who sings or entertains people for a living. You're just doing it.
Yeah, making porn is no different than singing. Okay, dude. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Whoever the fuck said that shit is psychotic. You know their hair is not brown, blonde, or black. That shit gotta be blue, pink, or green.
In a very special way.
I own a salon, and now I'm making over $50,000 a month.
What do you think?
I think there is 100% a stigma around being an OnlyFans model who is a mom.
And a lot of people might be confused and wonder, what is the big issue with airing out my back door for millions of people to see? I mean, it's my body. I should have the right to express myself the way I want to and use my body the way I want in order to get what I want. Nothing wrong with that, right? Unfortunately, yes, the kind of work that it's tied to, you cannot escape from that. The longest while, people who do spicy work are always seen as the scarlet letter wearers, and people have made arguments saying that that kind of work is misunderstood and criminalized. And Western society, especially, carries centuries of shame that's rooted in religion, patriarchal, and colonial traditions. That's the argument that people are making to explain.
How are you going to blame all this on Western societal values, these people, not the creator? Blame this on Western societal values. Why don't you go to Pakistan and see what they would do to a woman that's a sex worker? Better yet, why don't you go to Iran and see what they do to women dancing? Yeah, I promise you, this is not just a Western religious societal standard. It's the whole world, guys.
Why it's archaic that people would look down on people like this. And while it might be unfair for people to put a stigma on this, sometimes, just sometimes, stigmas exist for a reason. Well,
why are these women selling their bodies and shaming everyone that calls them a whore? Because they want to have their cake and eat it too. That's just not how that works. You can't do these shameful things and then expect not to be shamed.
Understand why the stigma in the first place, we first have to understand human beings as a species,
Was that
and
wizardry?
why their psychology and their biology, and how that plays a part in how humans think and the
Yo, I'm gonna subscribe just for that wizardry background. That was insane.
repercussions or consequences of certain actions within society. First of all, the internet has completely flipped how we think about love and relationships. Yes, I agree that people should be free to do what they want with their own bodies, but if we're talking about the effect of platforms like Tinder and OnlyFans on human being society, technically, we're not really built for this, not biologically, and not emotionally or socially either.
Yeah, so we as human beings are genetically coded to gain our strength and power to breed. And our whole purpose as a species is to breed and further the lineage of our genetic code and our family. So we would gain strength by having to work to find a suitable partner. Human beings were never conditioned to seeing on-demand pussy, tits, and ass. Because now, all of that strength and all of that worth and all of that value that we had to build up as a human being is now completely gone. And now you just get to access that for $3 fucking. So what's the point in trying? What's the point of pushing? What's the point of motivating yourself when you can get what was supposed to be the pinnacle, which is the act of sex, when you can get it for $3? Come, call it a day. That's the problem.
Either. And a lot of people
Or
also
for free,
believe
true.
that the more that we normalize this stuff, especially without thinking critically, is the more we're getting all kind of like weird. And I think the argument can be made back in our ancestors' times, like prehistoric times, being intimate and love and all that stuff was kind of connected, and your brain would release these chemicals when you got physically close to someone. You get close to that person and then your body starts releasing oxytocin and dopamine and all that good
I
stuff.
mean, I think it's a problem where there are high schoolers and middle schoolers who have had more sex and more abortions than I have had in my entire fucking life in the span of 1 year. And I think the youth is becoming so poisoned to where so many people who are growing up right now just fuck anything and everything. That's how their brains are conditioned. I need to have sex all the time or I'm losing. It's not the act of sex and beating guts and coming into a condom that is this grand body count above 300 that's desirable. It's about finding someone that you love and being able to start a family and creating offspring with one another that's supposed to be the grand penultimate. Mindless sex is just sad because then whenever you find that real partner, and once again, if you disagree with this, that's okay. It is. And I'm not, men and women, I think devaluing sex that often is a horrible thing. And I think you'll realize that as you grow older and you realize this special occasion that I have with this person that I love more than anyone else on this world, I have already shared with 200 people who I don't give a fuck about and I probably hate. And it's sad because when you do have sex, it's just not going to be as special and you're not going to be able to have that sacred bond that you could if you were to live a little bit more of a classy life.
stuff, and all that does is help you bond and trust and stick around with that person. That's how we survived as a species. Now people are existing in a world where your brain is being hit with the same chemicals, watching strangers on screens or performing for people that you don't even know, and yeah, as a result, it kind of messes with your ability to connect in real life, and you end up feeling numb and burnt out, and you're like, why can't I find a date? You're just straight up not interested in anyone anymore.
And the worst thing is that a lot of porn, what happens is it makes a lot of 4 out of 10 dudes think they deserve 10 out of 10 girls. Because they'll scroll through their Instagrams, they'll scroll through their OnlyFans, and these women, they're just covered in mud. They're covered in nuts and bolts and plastic and mud, fake tits, fake asses, liposuction, lip filler, eyebrow fixer, nose surgery, 18 pounds of mud on their face so they can look like a fucking half Asian cat girl. And then people, that's all they see online, and they say, well, this girl hasn't met my standards. I've seen at least 100 other girls look like this on Instagram. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works, man. It's not. These people on OF, these people on Insta, they're more like robots than they are real human beings, and that's just not how people look.
Or anything real or breeding, because you're getting this constant high on stimulation.
And then the other problem is that you have all these women who put on that 18 pounds of mud, who put on those boobs and asses, who forgot what they looked like before the genetic modification, what they forgot to look like when they don't have that 200 pounds of mud on their face. And they say, well, I deserve a 6-foot man, 6 figures, 6 inches. Yeah, well, you're going to die 6 feet under without ever having a man that was up to your standards because, bitch, you are shooting for things way out of your league, sweetheart.
Without having to build real emotional closeness and do any of the work. So that rewires your whole reward system, and why would you bother going for a relationship when you get the same dopamine high out of just watching some woman online and then you're beating your crock without having to deal with the drama? Same thing with the women. If they're getting the same dopamine response by getting resources.
I am very excited for all these dudes to have offspring with these half robotic women and just enjoy how your kids are going to look like when you realize, wait a minute, plastic surgery doesn't carry over into their genetic code, and you realize that all of your kids look like retards.
They don't have to pair themselves with a dude because they can just do whatever they do and show their stuff, and people just give them money and give them attention, and they get stability from that. Then it kind of replaces the need to go out there and find a mate to build a life with. And so here you have it. So I'm not necessarily talking about the whole body count conversation because that's a whole different thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you do repeatedly hook up or perform snooky with people, and you're constantly doing it over and over again, whether that be physically or you're watching it, you're kind of doing the deed and getting the same dopamine response without real connection. And over time, your brain stops associating that action of being with someone with closeness or love. It just becomes something that you do. It becomes a transaction. That basically is what society has become, and it feels great. I'm not gonna lie, it feels amazing when you're watching that content. You're like, oh, this is easy. I don't have to worry about it. I have to ask someone to spread their legs just so I can get a nut off. I can just do what I gotta do and keep it moving and don't get all the drama and blah, blah, blah. But fast forward a few years and you have people that don't know how to date. They don't know how to talk to each other. Nobody knows how to talk to each other anymore. It's like the society has become...
Well, yeah, not to mention there's so many men who are horrified of even the idea of talking to a woman because, well, first of all, now in 2025, having sex is horrifying because if you have sex with a woman and it was great and you both enjoyed it, but 8 years down the line goes bad, and now all of a sudden you had a falling out, you don't like each other, well, now they can just say, oh, yeah, he raped me, right? And with so many women also saying shit like, oh, I felt very uncomfortable when we talked, when you're just trying to get to know a person for the first time. Oh, you were sexually harassing them. And it's fucking horrifying to be a man in the dating scene in 2025. I feel like women now actually have to make the first move because too many men are fucking terrified of talking to anybody with the threat of a fucking lawsuit. And unfortunately, and let's be real, if you're a 10 out of 10 and you talk to a girl, everything's fine. If you're a 6 out of 10 and you talk to a girl, well, now all of a sudden you're uncomfortable and now you're a sexual predator.
So connected through social media and the internet, but yet they're so disconnected because you're existing in a state of mental and social castration where you depend on everything that you feel and get from online.
Squid Games and Fortnite?
Instead of the reward center.
Oh my God, it's
doing
Squid Games
in real
and
life
Fortnite.
with real bodies. Then you put stuff like the chatbots into the mix, and boom, you can create intimacy there too. There's this whole other argument about women not knowing how to treat men and vice versa. And I get it. If you don't have to because you can get the same results somewhere else much easier, why would you put in the work when you can just call off you want a real flesh and body reality, you could just go on Tinder, someone comes over, they smash, they leave, you do it all over again with someone else, and Bob's your uncle. Or maybe he's not. And men are wired to chase novelty, but they're meant to chase it in the real world, but that's completely hijacked, so now they're chasing it digitally or at their fingertips. Women no longer have to work to emotionally bond to anyone because they're having all these casual encounters, and it's just bouncing around from person to person. You're not even in the same tribe. That person doesn't have your back. If you're sleeping outside and someone decides to shit on your head, no one's gonna be there to help you.
But yet I keep things I've done when I just want to live. I'm out of it now. I know I'm out of it, but yet I keep getting brought back to.
I saw her. It's Instagram. I remember now. She was showing off her tongue. It was mid as fuck. Pass on this one, boys. It's not worth it. This shit was mid as fuck.
Why do you think they want to punish you so much?
I don't quite know. I really can't wrap my head around it. I would never send anybody anything that was that hateful.
And it's kind of sad because humans didn't evolve to be seen by hundreds and thousands and millions of people, especially when you're naked and you're most vulnerable. Like, that's supposed to be something private. And honestly, humans are the kind of creatures that are made to exist in very small tribes or societies where they can depend on each other and bond with each other. That's why if you look at cities now, wherever there's way too many Homo sapiens crushed into one area or overpopulated, there's usually an influx of crime. Why? Because there's no accountability. Why would there be? There's too many of you. You can disappear into the crowd. You can't control all those people. There's no tight-knit communities because there's so many people. Plus, with the influx of the population and these people being crammed together, you're going to have more hostile situations because there's so many people packed together that don't know each other from varying tribes from all over in an unnatural environment where they're not out in the wild and living
OnlyFans
naturally
girls
as
turn
humans
Christian.
have been
It's funny how that works, doesn't it?
And you'll notice that whenever there's a stigma, it's usually something tied in biology by the way that humans react to things. I mean, when you really sit down and think about it, these stigmas usually stem from something biological. A stigma is a very strong or most of the time negative social reaction to someone who is perceived different or threatening or not normal or not like the rest of us. And it can be about your behavior, where you come from, your appearance. There are a lot of these that are programmed responses, yes, but many of these are biologically programmed responses that are tied to survival instincts from when human beings lived in small tribal and vulnerable groups. And the problem is our instincts has not really evolved as fast as society has.
The $300, bro. Holy
and
shit.
industrialization and all that. So some of that ancient wiring is still messing with everything. We haven't caught up to what we were able to achieve. Our instincts are very much a part of it. That's why we can't get past freaking politics and all that crap that doesn't really matter, because at the core, human beings are still living as...
Well, the problem is with the right, you're demonized, and if you're left, then you're usually, unfortunately, in a battle with the other left, because if you're not the furthest left, well, now you're far right. There's infighting on the left, you're demonized if you're on the right, and the reality is all the human beings are miserable on this earth.
Cavemen in our minds. I mean, think about it for a second. The stigma around body size, whether you're too fat or too skinny. Someone who is way too thin is seen as sick or malnourished or dying or has some kind of disease, not a good mate, not a strong ally you can depend on to help you. On the flip side, being too fat, even though body fat is a good thing because you had energy reserves, way too much signals that you have low physical endurance, reduced mobility, something is wrong with you, increased likelihood of disease, heart issues, hormonal imbalance, which can affect fertility, and so people have subconscious red flags going on about that. And when people try to explain this, they see it as, oh, you're not supposed to talk about this. That's not fair. Nobody's trying to be mean. It's primitive brain logic. It's not that people are personally judging.
It's like when I tell Shinny to go to the gym. It's not because I'm bullying him. It's because he's one of my best friends, and I don't want to see him die at fucking 35. Fat positivity means that you're okay with your homies dying before they even fucking see 40, bro. It's not about being nice. It's about preservation of the people you care about. And if you did care about somebody living an unhealthy lifestyle, you would try to help them.
People and being mean to them just to be mean to them, there's usually a reason for this. And you usually see the effects of it. Like when someone is so freaking obese to the point where they can't move and their body is rotting out from underneath them, they can't breathe, and their heart can't pump normally and they need oxygen, you cannot tell me health at every freaking size. You cannot then call people fat phobic for looking at this and thinking, hot damn, don't think I want that as a mate. There's those same stigmas against skin color and ethnic appearance. And I'm not talking about something that comes from racism in the modern political sense, but the biological root of this is tribalism. Because for tens and thousands of years, humans lived in very small and tight-knit tribes, and outsiders or people who didn't look like your family usually meant danger. People who didn't look like you or sound like you or behave like you might have brought disease, violence, or competition for resources. So human evolution was basically like, ooh, I'm suspicious of that person, it's not from my group, possibly a threat. The fact that humans have very violent and aggressive tendencies is seen in all this research, and the fact that we even see even modern day apes competing and fighting with each other can give us some possible insight into why human beings act the way they do. And this instinct is why people now feel uneasy around strangers or unfamiliar faces. It's the same reason why people might feel more comfortable marrying within their culture, not necessarily out of hate, but from this deeply embedded sense of safety and predictability. And we all are educated enough to know that, yeah, obviously if you're a different skin color, that doesn't necessarily necessarily mean that you're going to eat someone or take their food. Probably not. But for a lot of humans, that hasn't updated yet. That part of their biology hasn't updated yet. And that goes with a lot of things. The stigma around disabilities and all that stuff, you're not getting rid of those. And so yeah, this brings us back to the spicy content.
This reminds me of that one time my little sister saw a black man for the first time, and she asked her sister, "Why is he so dirty?" You know, you only know what you know, man. You only know what you know.
And stuff.
If I was doing this, or if I wasn't, they would still have to deal with the fact that they have a hot mom. I also think that because my kids are little badasses, that they'll whoop somebody's butt for talking crap on their mom.
What the hell?
Trust me, I do think it's also unfair.
Fight your mom's battles. Okay. Have fun when you're in 5th grade getting bullied by an 8th grader, or a 9th grade being picked up by a 12th grader. You've cursed your children to a life of torment the moment anybody finds out, and they will.
For women to be judged by a completely different standard than men are judged. I absolutely hate it. But if we're talking about biology, and in the case of evolutionary terms, the reason why this whole promiscuity thing is so taboo in the first place, especially to men, why they don't respect that, or they don't trust it, or they look down on it, is because a woman who sleeps with a lot of partners usually means that if they have a child, it is unclear who the father is. And that is a threat to the male investment in the offspring. And also, on the flip side, this is another thing too, because men don't escape from it either. A man who sleeps around, possible lack of loyalty, unstable pair bond, threat to raising children successfully because he'll just take off and go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Now that is a little bit more excused if the guy
100%.
has a lot of resources and many females, because that means he can take care of many of them at the same time. So I know a lot of you are probably like, well, what was the point of you
I used to want to have multiple girlfriends, and then I realized that's just like really fucking sad. It's like when I wanted to have a whole bunch of cats. It's like, it's really sad, you know? Because then it's like each other cat that you have or each other girlfriend you have less time to spend with each one, which means you'll just miss out on so much of their life. So it already takes long. And you know what? Never mind. I would never want to have sex with multiple women because I'm just like, oh God, I gotta make both of you come. Okay, you go masturbate for an hour and then I'll come in. Or I'll jerk off for 30 minutes and then you come in. Because it takes me forever. Like, I'll be real. Okay, I will either come in 5 minutes or I will come in 4 hours. And there is no in between. It really depends on the fucking day. It is miserable, dude. It is miserable.
babbling on about that, seriously. Because a lot of these creators end up coming out here and crying either when they enter this kind of work or they exit it because they're wondering, why are people like this and why are people treating me like this? And they
I remember I beat my dick so hard this one time it turned purple. Anyways, guys, type 1 if you want to see my
they don't understand why they just can't live their life and do whatever they want to do and then come back after they're all done and then find a partner who will love them and respect them, or who will have an issue with people negatively perceiving them for their choices, because everyone should just accept what they do. They also get mad that when they try to go back out in the dating world, people don't want to settle down or do the bare minimum for them. But why should they? If they exist in a world where they can just get everything for free, and the OnlyFans models or the OnlyFans creators will come out and say, well, it's not fair, because the same men who
Can I tell you why these dumbass bitches who say you shouldn't shame us for doing OnlyFans are the most hypocritical people on the earth? These OnlyFans women will say, oh, you're a brokey, you work customer service. Oh, you're a brokey, you're unemployed. You work as a soldier? Oh my God, disgusting. You killed people for money. And then you say, oh, you do OnlyFans, you're a whore. I can't believe you judge me like that. You're such a bigot. Brother, if you're out here judging everybody for everything, what do you think gives you the right to never be judged for anything you do? It's ridiculous.
who were judging you were the same men who watch your
They'll judge you for your job. They'll judge you for your height. They'll judge you for your appearance. They'll judge you by your dick size. You judge them for anything, they freak the fuck out and they call you a bigot.
content. That is true. But the more you make the content is the more men end up watching it, is the more men end up downplaying the respect you should give to women, is the more they're like, why should I even bother respecting women? I don't need them because I can get 100 of them at the tip of my fingers anyway. And then the same men who are always talking about women be hoes these days, society is doomed, are the same ones going out there and supporting these people and straight up creating the very problem that they claim is plaguing their society. Meanwhile, they're directly contributing to it. Make it make sense.
Nah, I think it's better just to pay for Japanese animated porn. You know? That's the good shit, man. That's the good shit. Just pay for hentai. It's a lot easier.
Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting topic because everyone's always guessing around, but seem to not get the psychology or the biology behind why certain things exist the way they do. But that is why. That being said, do whatever you want, have whatever job you want. But just like
Ain't that shit free? Yeah, now it is because of AI. Now, before, man, as a guy who had a chronic masturbation addiction, I ran out of porn. I ran out of porn because I have a very specific genre that I like watching. Anyways,
any other occupation that you choose.
It's too
it has
specific.
hazards and consequences. For example, if you work in construction,
Define-
you might have back and knee
Define chronic. Yeah, back when I had a chronic masturbation addiction, I was jerking off 3 to 5 times a day. It was bad.
issues. You might fall.
If I was breathing, I was coming.
You probably at one point in your life are going to get electrocuted, possibly die. If you're a policeman or firefighter, you're going to be away for long hours. It's possible that your relationship might not last if you're with a woman who needs you to be around, or if you're in the military as a man or a woman and you're going to be gone for long periods of time. It is possible that you're risking your relationship being open to someone else because your partner will get lonely. There's just certain things that come with certain environments or occupations. It just is what it is. And the same thing goes for spicy content workers. Just understand that when you're giving your goods away, that you are sacrificing and speccing into something that you won't be able to come back from later. You can live like a king. Just understand that you probably are going to end up lonely like one.
Absolutely. Great video. Ulteriori, I was not familiar with your game, but it is so nice hearing a woman talk about these issues. I absolutely fucking love it. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know, like, we just gotta get rid of this shit where people get upset when we just tell the truth. It may hurt your feelings, but it doesn't make it not true. And having an open, honest discussion about everything is what I currently pride myself in. I tell you guys some shit, even this video, I tell you guys some shit that I should not tell you. But it is what it is. It's the truth of it, so why not talk about it? It's just my perspective.